How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I was over on Lisa Cabrera's channel early this morning, and she had did a video about this lovely family here, and it's very tragic. What you see here is Mr. Rhodes and his daughter and his wife, and he is no longer with his family. And the things that I heard in her video disturbed me, and I love researching real deeply about things, and I got very curious, and Lisa did a very thorough job, and I said, well, I still want to look into it even deeper. So let's go over here first. Death of South Carolina DUI suspect raises questions. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Let me just go ahead and let's get into this. So, state investigators are reviewing a case where DUI suspect died after an officer, not the suspect, signed a form refusing medical treatment. The man, Nathan Rhodes, 58, had 8 broken ribs and a ruptured liver when he died, according to medical records. Rhodes crashed his van last August, and according to a police report, the father of 3 was already on a stretcher in the ambulance when an officer decided to conduct a field sobriety test after finding an open bottle of wine in his van. According to the report, Rhodes told the officer that he had no injuries that would stop him from completing the test. And then, after being taken out of the ambulance, failed to maintain his balance during the test. Instead of being taken to the hospital, Rhodes was sent to the police station to be booked for DUI. A form refusing medical treatment lists a signature to be provided by the patient, in this case Rhodes, or a guardian, but instead an officer on the scene signed the form, raising questions about why Rhodes wasn't taken to the hospital. That is the big question, said Justin Bungberg, the attorney representing Rhodes' widow, and that is the question that both Charleston EMS and the City of Charleston Police Department have to answer. According to the police report, the cruiser dash cam, the cruiser dashboard cam was malfunctioning. In the surveillance video Bungberg provided to NBC News, EMTs at the police station didn't seem to realize Rhodes had broken ribs or any other internal injuries. Medical records show that Rhodes' blood alcohol level was a .11 at the time, exceeding South Carolina's legal limit for drivers, .08 point. His family believes, however, that the decision not to take him to the hospital delayed adequate medical treatment and ultimately proven fatal. Rhodes eventually slipped into a coma and died 4 days later at a hospital. His wife of 35 years, Annetta Rhodes, is devastated. It hurts, she said. It really does. After NBC News inquired about the case, Charleston Police Chief Luther Reynolds said that the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division to conduct an independent investigation. You and y'all fucking investigations. In a written statement, the department said that while gathering information in response to a news request involving this case, The CPD was provided with a document that raised questions about whether CPD officers follow proper procedure while the driver was not transported to the hospital from the scene of the accident. Reynolds said, in part, the loss of life is always tragic and must be taken very seriously. The officer has been placed on administrative leave. Bungberg said Rhodes' family was considering legal action against the department. He should have gone immediately to the hospital, Annetta Rhodes said. I wish they would have given him a chance to still be here with us. Wow, very tragic. So, let's listen to this first video.
Nathaniel Rhodes' van crashed last August in Charleston, South Carolina. According to a police report, the father of 3 was already on a stretcher in an ambulance when an officer decided to conduct field sobriety tests after finding an open bottle of wine in his van. Annette was his wife of 35 years.
It was unbelievable. I didn't even I couldn't imagine.
Instead of going to the hospital, Rhodes went to the police station, booked for DUI, but a form refusing medical treatment was signed by the officer, not Rhodes.
Why wasn't he taken to the hospital?
That is the big question, and that's the question that both Charleston EMS and the City of Charleston Police Department have to answer.
In this surveillance video provided to NBC News by the family's attorney, EMTs at the police station evaluate him but don't seem to realize he has internal injuries, 8 broken ribs, and a ruptured liver.
It hurts. It really does.
Rhodes eventually slipped into a coma and died 4 days later at the hospital. After NBC News started asking questions about the case, Charleston's police chief asked the state to conduct an independent investigation. In a written statement, the police department says in part that it was provided with a document that raised questions about whether CPD officers followed proper procedure when the driver was not transported to the hospital from the scene of the accident.
He should have been taken directly to the hospital.
Rhodes' family says the delayed medical treatment may have proved deadly. Gabe Gutierrez.
Okay. I have 2 videos here, and they'll overlap just a bit, my royal family. But it's necessary. It's disturbing to me. You will see the incompetence and the lack of care for a black man, and it doesn't matter the race of the other folks that look like you and I. They develop these attitudes too.
Officer suspended accused of misconduct after a man he arrested died 4 days later. Police reporter Harv Jacobs breaks down the arrest and the latest on the investigation.
It's a beautiful spring-like day outside, starting to cool down now. What about tomorrow? Warmer temperatures again? We'll have the answer coming up.
And a Folly Beach tradition coming to an end. Why the city says it's cutting ties with Folly Gras.
A Charleston police officer has been suspended with pay 6 months after arresting a DUI suspect who died 4 days later. Attorneys for the family of 58-year-old Nathaniel Rhodes are accusing Officer Paul Kelly of misconduct on the job.
Our police reporter Harv Jacobs tells us the city's police chief also wants answers.
Nathaniel Rhodes was arrested for DUI on August 12th of last year after crashing his van on the crosstown at Cumming Street. Rhodes died 4 days later at MUSC. Today, the Rhodes family members and his attorneys said he would not have died if the police officer and Charleston County paramedics had followed proper procedures.
What we're here to do today is to say that we wish they had immediately gotten Mr. Rhodes the medical care that he so desperately needed the evening of that accident.
Attorney Justin Bamberg says the first mistake made by Officer Paul Kelly is when he failed to refuse to transport to the hospital form for Rhodes. The attorney says only Rhodes or a family member is allowed to sign the form. He says at the time, Rhodes was seriously injured with broken ribs and a lacerated liver. Bamberg claims the officer signed the form to force Rhodes to take a field sobriety test.
I don't know about you, but I think that anyone with Mr. Rhodes' injuries would fail a test like that unless that individual was Superman.
Rhodes was then taken to the Charleston Police Department for a breath test. Bamberg says according to the video, Rhodes was in severe pain and passed out.
I look good on camera. You see that, Sean?
The video shows the Charleston County paramedic dancing and then smiling for the camera. It was very difficult for Rhodes' daughter, who is a medical professional, to watch the paramedics on the video.
Watching a patient suffer and having the time of our life.
It's hard, it's a fight, but with the help of God, with giving me strength, my daughters and I, and the rest of our family, that's helping us. But it's hard, it really is.
Charleston Police Chief Luther Reynolds watched today's news conference.
We have absolutely nothing to hide.
Reynolds says he suspended Officer Kelly on Friday as soon as he received the document that showed he signed the paperwork at the accident scene. The chief says it's fairly common practice for officers to sign the do not transport document, but only as a witness.
It concerns me greatly, and I want to know why. And we're going to find out.
Bamberg also wants some answers and says for now a lawsuit will not be filed.
But if necessary, we will absolutely take them to the courthouse steps.
Harv Jacobs, Live 5 News.
The chief says video from 2 of the 4 body cameras.
Okay, we're going to go to the next video.
Few hours, we've learned a Charleston police officer has been suspended with pay following new information on the arrest and death of a DUI suspect.
This afternoon, attorneys for the man's family are accusing Officer Paul Kelly of misconduct. The man, 58-year-old Nathaniel Rhodes, died in August of last year, 4 days after the accident.
Police reporter Harv Jacobs live in the control room right now. Harv, Rhodes' family members and attorneys are demanding some answers.
Bill and Nathaniel Rhodes' family members say after the accident on the crosstown at Cummings Street, he was put in an ambulance to be taken to a hospital, and that's when they say the officer messed up big time that ultimately cost Rhodes his life. Rhodes' widow and one of his daughters looked on as their attorneys played a video of Rhodes' breath test to the Charleston Police Department after his arrest. Attorney Justin Bamberg says the officer had Rhodes removed from the ambulance after a glass bottle was found inside his van. An incident report said the bottle had a broken seal and was filled with wine. The report said Rhodes said he had no injuries that would stop him from doing a field sobriety test. Bamberg claims a police officer, Paul Kelly, purposely signed the refusal to transport form for Rhodes so he could give him the sobriety test. Video taken at the police department shows Rhodes in apparent pain. The video also shows one of the paramedics dancing and looking at the camera smiling. Bamberg says an autopsy showed Rhodes died from injuries to his stomach, and he had his liver lacerated and also broken ribs.
The only thing that was refused in this situation was emergency medical care to a man who was slowly dying. Slowly dying.
Bamberg says so far no lawsuit has been filed. He says if necessary, he will take the city, in his words, to the courthouse steps. In the control room, I'm Harv Jacobs.
And this afternoon, Charleston Police Chief Luther Reynolds took action in response to the comments made during the news conference this afternoon. Reynolds said video from 2 of the 4 body cameras worn the night of Rhodes' arrest was deleted because there's only a 30-day retention policy. But he says that policy will change. Reynolds also said he had no idea until Friday that Officer Kelly signed that do not transport document for Rhodes because he says that's a function of EMS and not the police department. He says he's heard it's common practice for officers to sign the documents only as witnesses.
It concerns me greatly, and I want to know why. And we're going to find out.
Reynolds says the state law enforcement division is investigating the officer's actions. The Charleston County Sheriff's Office is investigating the action of the paramedics during Rhodes' date master test at the police department.
The ultimate disrespect. What a shame. What a shame, what a shame, what a shame. Very, very sad. Let me pull up something that I forgot to pull up. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. I think we're going to be able to find this. I forgot to pull up the pig's name, to pull up the pig's picture. Let's see, that's in, let me do one more thing. Let me go back. Let's see, let me see here. Let me go back here. What state was they in? Oh, South Carolina. Okay. Let me see here. Sometimes these things can be tricky. Let's see what we have here. Nah, that's in San Jose. I don't have, and they'll purposely do this to my royal family. I don't have the officer's picture. Sometimes that can be real tricky. But anyhow, my royal family, like I said, when I was listening to this, it was very disturbing to me, what I was hearing. We seen the incompetence of the medical staff and all of that. You seen how they was pulling his head back and forth, and they act like they barely wanted to touch them. They lack empathy for these people. They will judge you, and you're supposed to always remain professional. And this is nothing new to them. They know those pigs will sign and do whatever they want. And I know that it's quite harsh seeing what we're seeing, but we must show this, my royal family, because this is how we are treated in the streets of America. This is how we are truly treated. And my attitude is, once that person is on the stretcher, a police officer should not be able to override medical staff. But see, they work one and the same, and they don't give a fuck, I done read articles of them just letting somebody lay there until the police decide they want somebody to come and pick them up. And it's just, it's just really tragic and sad, but not surprising at all. And it's terrible that this brother had to go through this, because I can't imagine the pain that he was in. I'm pretty sure that he had internal bleeding as well. And they need to fire the paramedics for their conduct. They need to fire the cop for his conduct and sue the fuck out of this family. Talking about they may sue? No, you're going to sue. That's how that works. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.